Well, a whole lot of talk about the Subsidy Reinvestment Empowerment Program, a whole lot, a mouthful there. Well, the Shopee, and the other time we saw Dr. Christopher Collade speak on this particular matter. But now, quite frankly, a whole lot of brouhaha concerning the management of Shopee, to the extent that some of the opposition parties have spoken up against the management of Shopee. Joining us to look at some of the issues raised by some Nigerians on this matter is a lawyer and a public affairs analyst, Chima Nnaji. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, good to have you join us. The Shopee thing, we all saw how it started, the aftermath of the, should I say, the protest, January protest of 2012. Well, by now, a lot of people say, well, they should have felt what this program is about. Do you think that Nigerians are actually getting the meat of the Shopee program?
Well, the program, from what we've read about it, is a 4-year intervention program. And perhaps this is the second year. Far more than 25% ought to have been achieved. And what exactly was the objective? Because we have to look at the objective of the program to determine where we are and perhaps make some assessment. The program, as the name, the acronym Shopee is Subsidy Reinvestment Empowerment Program. Critically designed to empower Nigerians and improve critical infrastructure. These two dimensions, if you want to focus on that, at a globally level, you may say, I don't think much has happened. We still need to be enlightened on what is on ground. I don't want to get drawn into the politics, of whether it was legal or unconstitutional, and some of the positions of political parties. That is their prerogative. But as a Nigerian who used the opportunity of this Christmas period to travel on road, there are so much still left to be desired. It is still business as usual. Keep walking on one lane until the other lane of the road completely collapses. Then you get over to that one that has collapsed on an emergency patching process, while you bid your time for the other lane to start deteriorating. Shopee is a beautiful document. But like I've always said, just like Nigerian budgets, not necessarily of this government, Nigerian budgets have been essay writing. You ask somebody to write an essay, he puts up a beautiful write-up. And the implementers will always tell you that in the so-and-so climate, this is what is done. We are too other directed. We do not have our own strategic thinking. I've always insisted that people in governance and those in government must be strategic thinkers, not just doers. In companies, you pay doers less than thinkers. So the same thing in governance. Those people who manage the affairs of the country must be those who are imbued with the capacity to think deeply and strategically. And you don't think in vacuum. You must have the knowledge. You must have the right attitude. And of course, the aptitude should be there. So this Shopee, from the document perspective, is a beautiful write-up. It's an essay, if you want me to put it that way. So I have not seen so much. There's so much jactitations. You've been launched with fanfare.
Because it was actually meant to fast-track development.
There's nothing fast in the tracking about development. Okay? Because it is still business as usual. Take the instance of transportation, where some loans, they say zero-sum loans will be given to those who are identified to be big transport operators. Those who traveled through commercial transportation during the Christmas will tell you that no impact. In fact, that was the time the impact ought to have been felt most. You give money to business people, profit-driven organizations, they will always make the best out of it. And God help us if we're able to realize those loans, because perhaps some of them will be seeing it as part of their own national cake, their own share of the national cake. Then look at in terms of road, like I said, there are jactitations. There are things, people are making, moves as if something is happening. But we are interested in the end result.
Mr. Nnaji, allow me to comment here, because in all of this, it's not as if what you're saying is quite new, especially to the National Assembly, because I remember then towards the tail end of 2012, the House Committee on Public Service Matters, actually talked about it and said that they were going to constitute a panel to investigate some of these allegations of, maybe mismanagement, because if truly it's about fast-tracking development, and you say it's far from that, and most Nigerians have also said the same thing, that means what the National Assembly said towards the end of 2012 was actually apt. But whether they have done all of that at this point in time, that has made some other people or opposition, which you say, you stay out of because you're not from any of the political parties. What should we be doing at this point in time if the National Assembly, as of 2012, already knew that there was some bickering concerning the management of this Shopee?
You see, I've said that there are so much jactitation, so many activities tending towards the process, but never getting there. Even the structure of the Shopee itself, there's supposed to be monitoring units at the various ministerial and departmental and agency levels. And there's also supposed to be an independent monitoring unit at the level of the board. Okay? All these things are costing this country money, and perhaps this money is coming from the Shaw program itself. Okay? Now look at all the logistical layout. These are, the secretariat must be run and all that and all that. The experts and financial assistance and the project implementation, monitoring, and project management, all these things are to be paid for. External auditors and what have you. These are costs that have already been laid out to benefit from the Shaw program. So the problem now is that while we are taking in these costs, we are not able to see the output. So the National Assembly knows, just like everybody, we know these things, that when you write an essay, that you don't have planks, milestones, or even the plan of implementation, there is no way it will succeed, because most of these things are mirrored in corruption. Corruption has become the central albatross of this country. Everything being laid out as government program, people are looking at how do we, in fact, most of the initiators would have built in something for themselves. So that while you see that there's so much jactitation and so much ecstatic fanfare and all that, you find that they are under. Remember that the subsidy program itself is corruptogenic.
Before we go into what Shopee has achieved, did you agree with the concept of Shopee in the very first instance?
That Shopee, ordinarily anything that can bring development is agreeable to any progressive mind. But like this particular program was born in a controversial, circumstance. It was supposed to be an intervention process to douse perhaps the tension that was, building up in the aftermath of the petroleum subsidy brouhaha. I didn't see the possibility of sustaining this program. It seems to have served its purpose in the sense that it was able to douse the tension. It helps the government to manage the illumination that attended the subsidy.